Hi, I'm Dr. Lonna Denny, Bulletproof Babes, self-defense based on behavioral sciences. And today I'm going to show you a neat little trick to read what's going on in somebody's mind and what they are not saying. It's not going to work in all circumstances, but it's going to work in more than you may imagine. And I'll tell you right now, 95% of the people do not know this material and they do not do this. And that other 5%, those are going to be police and military interrogators, or they're going to work in the intelligence communities like the CIA or the Mossad. Okay, so the one thing I want to share with you today is microexpressions. So microexpressions, like the name implies, is a quick flicker of emotion that goes across somebody's face. And when I say quick, I mean really quick, like less than half a second. So you've really got to be paying attention to that and looking for it. And the reason that it's so important is because microexpressions are involuntary and they are subconscious. The person doing it doesn't know that they've just done that one thing. So it's a very honest way of telling what's going on with people, which is why interrogators like it so much. And the reason that 95% of people don't know how to read these is A, they don't know about it, but second of all, B, is because when we listen to another person speak, maybe this much is us listening to them, this much is us thinking about what we're going to say next, and this much is subconscious. We're picking up some clues from them. Body language, tone, cadence, those nonverbal cues. And I'll give you an example of this. If you've ever met somebody and maybe they said nothing wrong whatsoever, but you came out of that conversation and you're thinking, man, I don't like that person. I don't really trust them. That's your subconscious picking up all those nonverbal cues. And so we're going to take that part of it and we're going to put it into the conscious for you. So to pick up on microexpressions, you really have to be paying attention and looking at that person and not thinking about what you're going to say next. You're just looking for that flicker of expression. Now, it's not going to work in every situation. For example, like the run-of-the-mill hustler on the street, the guy's trying to scam you out of some money, or that guy playing three-card money in the back of the subway. Those are just bad people doing bad things. They have no emotional investment in it. They do not know you. So you're not going to catch a microexpression in them. But let me give you some situations that you will find this, like a business situation or a talk with a friend. Or what if you were just in an auto accident and you're telling your neighbor about the auto accident and you see this little flicker of a smile across her face? Well, then like either she doesn't like you or she's envious of you and she was happy that you were in that little auto accident, or it could be a multitude of different things. But let me give you an example of how this just worked for me in a business situation. So a couple weeks ago, I had 2 subsequent meetings with a guy who's trying to sell me different financial instruments. And I happen to know his boss. Actually, I think it's his boss's boss, is a really good friend of mine. She's very high up in this company and she's a straight shooter. She's been a loyal friend for years. And so when I got together with this guy and we're talking and I happened to mention her name, there was this little micro expression of disdain that went across his face. And in my mind, I thought, did I just see that? So I let him carry on for about the next 15 minutes. And then I mentioned her name again on purpose. And I'll be darned, there goes that same expression of disdain. Now, I did end up buying that financial product from him just because it was insured. There was really no way I could lose on that one. But the subsequent meeting with him was on a riskier investment. And I already didn't trust him so much. And just to play with him, I said it, I mentioned her name one more time, and there goes that expression. So I let him go on and on because, he's educating me about this, but I already knew, this one involved a little bit of risk. Am I going to trust this guy? No way. Because if he's not a friend of my friend, who's a straight shooter, honest, I trust her with my last dollar, then I'm not going to trust him. And I gave him just enough rope to hang himself with, because as we carried on in the conversation, he did say some things that were like, you should never say. Some political views you should never say during a business conversation because you don't know what political side I'm on. It was just irrelevant. Like there was no need to bring that up. And then I really kind of saw him for who he was. So this can work in a variety of contexts. And at the very end of this video, I'm gonna show you a little chart of different microexpressions. Don't worry about trying to memorize it because you're gonna know it in a conversation. If they're saying something and that little microexpression doesn't match up with the words that they're saying, you're gonna know that something is off, and then you can take it from there. Hey, if you're a criminal, do not like and subscribe to my station, because my station is all about keeping people safe from becoming victims of financial fraud, digital fraud, or being hurt in real life by somebody. Hope that helps. I'll see you soon.